According to the charges, Jay Blades was controlling and abusive toward his ex-wife. As he fixed up valuable things on the hit show Repair Shop, Jay Blades became a well-liked character known for his skill and friendliness. Fans respected his skill and the care he put into every repair, which made the show a comforting look at care and craftsmanship. But something very important was going on behind the scenes, something so important that Anderson Cooper wrote about it. This terrible tragedy was the end of Jay Blades' career, which was a shock and a disaster. As soon as it started airing in 2017, The Repair Shop quickly became a beloved and calming show on British TV. It's not like other shows. It's based on a simple idea that people liked. The idea is easy to understand. People bring in precious, often old and worn-out family keepsakes, and a group of skilled craftspeople work their magic to make them look like new again. What could be more moving than seeing a piece of history that holds memories and stories come to life? Jay Blades was the leader of this group. After a while, he became one of the most recognized and loved faces on the show. Jay not only brought his skill, but also a real warmth and openness that made the show feel like going to the workshop of a trusted friend. His skill at restoring wood and his ability to make people feel better helped make broken and lost things into treasures again. People who saw him cared a lot, not just about the work, but also about the stories behind each item. The Repair Shop was unique because it did more than just fix old things. It was about getting together. A lot of the time, the things that were fixed were sentimentally valuable. Letters from loved ones who have died, old wedding dresses, and toys from youth. It was helpful that the team paid close attention to the little things, yes, but they also cared about what these things meant to the people who brought them in. A lot of people watched the show because they missed the good old days, respected skill, and thought family history was important. Jay's part fits in nicely with that setting. He was more than just a good fixer. He was a friendly person who made everyone feel at ease and understood. Many owners who were worried about giving their valuable items to strangers felt better when they saw his friendly smile and calm confidence. Over time, Jay's story became interesting to watch on the show. People who watched knew a little about his past, his journey, and his desire to help others. He was more than just a skilled worker. It was easy to relate to and look up to him. A lot of fans saw the Repair Shop as a place of healing and hope. It made people think about how important it is to keep the past alive and how stories are worth telling. The show stood out in a crowded TV environment thanks to its slow pace and honest feelings. It turned into a family tradition that they did every weekend, a peaceful time of happiness and reflection. But sometimes, even in the most popular shows, the biggest stars can hide dark parts. On the screen, people could only see Jay's happy face and skilled hands. What was going on behind the scenes was mostly hidden. The show painted a picture of perfection that wasn't quite true. Under the surface, problems and changes were slowly forming, ones that would quickly spread and forever change the show's path and Jay's career. Jay had been a key part of the show for many years. Fans were confused and worried when rumors started to spread that he wasn't there. There was a hint that something was wrong, but no one knew how bad it would get. People had come to expect kindness and trust, but now it felt weak. But first, it's important to know how much Jay and the rest of the team have accomplished over the years. The next chapter will talk about the best parts of the Repair Shop, the times that people will never forget, and why Jay's part was so important to its success. Expertly done repairs. You can do more than fix things on the Repair Shop. Inspiring stories, moments, and changes were put together in this collection. As time went on, it became clear why this show had such a huge fan base, and why Jay Blades' role was so important. The emotional weight behind each repair was one of the main reasons why people really connected with the show. A lot of the things that were brought in were not just old things. They were gifts that were passed down through families and brought back happy memories. People gave the team things like their grandfather's broken-down toolbox, their mother's wedding dress, or an old photo frame that held generations of memories. A lot of these episodes show how skilled Jay is. He was especially good at fixing up things made of wood. Jay took his time and care with every job, whether it was fixing a broken chair or repainting the family table. But people didn't just admire his technical skill, they also liked the way he carried himself. Jay could make people feel at ease and hopeful, even when their most valuable things looked like they couldn't be fixed. In one story that stood out, an old woman brought in a music box that she had gotten from her grandmother. The wooden case was worn down from years of use, and the machinery was rusty. As Jay carefully cleaned, fixed, and polished the fragile item, he talked me through each step. When the music box finally played its tune again, it made the woman cry, and many other people cried too. It made me think of the magic in keeping things alive, and the power of bringing back something that was thought to be lost. Fans also liked how the show showed off a lot of different artists. People saw experts in ceramics, metals, leather, textiles, and clocks, along with Jay. Every show was a chance to honor old skills that are becoming less common these days. Jay's part was different, though. He stood out as a kind of link between the workshop staff and the owners because he was easygoing and liked to get his hands dirty. Over the course of 7 years, many shows showed amazing changes, putting a broken Victorian dollhouse back to how it looked when it was new. A wedding dress that was torn and stained was brought back to life with careful sewing and love. People worked very hard to fix a broken family treasure clock so that it would tick again after decades of silence. There were more than just before and after stories here. The stories were about getting better, family history, and honoring the past. People often shared their own stories that were inspired by the show. These stories were about finding riches in attics or family heirlooms that had been forgotten for a long time but were now important again. People saw Jay and the rest of the team as signs of hope that broken things could be fixed, too. There were also times when the show was funny and heartfelt. It was easier for people to understand the sometimes complicated repair work because Jay could make them laugh, be funny, and connect with them on a personal level. The show had a special heart when you saw him gently comfort worried owners or talk about the stories behind things. The repair shop became more than just a TV show because of times like these. It became an important part of culture, a reminder of how important family and workmanship are and how things can tell stories. Jay was a big part of that feeling. His fame grew incredibly. He became one of the show's biggest stars and was often asked to be on talk shows, events, and social media. However, fans loved these feel-good stories, but Jay's work was not as simple as they seemed. The repair shop was very successful because it gave off an image of friendliness and trust. But slowly, that image was beginning to crack. While Jay seemed kind and skilled on camera, things were going on behind the scenes that only a small group of people could see. More and more interest. Jay Blades became more well-known as the service shop did. It wasn't just the skill that made the show popular, it was also the people who worked on it, and Jay became one of the most famous people in the world. People liked him on the show, on social media, and in the news in general because he was honest and had a nice face. Jay became very famous outside of the workshop. Fans liked both the fact that he could fix things up and the story behind him. He was honest about how he overcame problems in his own life, like growing up in bad conditions, and using his love of art to find meaning. People could relate to him more deeply because he was honest, which made his story one of strength and hope. The people who follow Jay on social media are very many. Fans praised his work, shared clips of funny moments, and loved how he made the show more positive. He seemed real and easy to talk to, which is hard to find in TV stars. As Jay's fame grew, he was asked to be on talk shows and do interviews more often, which raised his image even more. But fame can be bad sometimes. It brought praise and new chances, but it also put a lot of pressure and attention on them, which wasn't always easy to handle. Since you are a famous person, people often see into your personal life. If you have problems, they can quickly become big news. Because of all the press, Jay's life was being watched very closely. Every move, word, and silence were carefully observed and thought over. For someone whose job depends on being friendly and open, this close scrutiny might feel intrusive and too much. This stress could be seen in some of Jay's social media posts. Fans also saw that he wasn't posting as often and giving fewer updates. Then he told everyone that he was leaving social media for good, saying that they needed to focus on their own problems after a terrible family event. It was an abrupt break that made his fans worried, but they were polite and respected his privacy. Besides this personal tragedy, other things changed. Jay wasn't there when shooting for the new season of The Repair Shop started. For a show that depended on fans' favorite known faces, his absence made people look twice. The BBC didn't say anything about it, which made the rumors stronger. Even though there was quiet, rumors began to spread. Some fans thought Jay was just taking a well-earned break, while others thought something more serious was going on behind the scenes. The show's producers also made some quiet changes, like taking out shows with Jay and changing the dates of planned tours and appearances. It was a tricky position. There was one side to Jay. He was loved by many, and his presence had helped shape the show. On the other hand, the fact that the public didn't see him or hear much about him suggested that there was more going on beneath the surface. Fans started to feel tense and unsure because of the difference between his public image and these new events. More problems came up because of the extra attention and reports. As more people made guesses, the media dug deeper and found information about Jay's personal life that hadn't been out there before. This was the point where support and respect began to mix with anger and worry. People who had watched the show for years found it hard to connect the friendly, skilled workers on TV with the sad news stories that were coming out. People had built confidence over time, but it was being tested in a way that no one saw coming. Jay's work, which had once been a great example of being positive and talented, was now at a turning point. There were a lot of questions and more attention on the situation, which led to a shocking reveal that shocked both fans and the public. Cracks in the top layer. Most of the time, people know about changes that happen on TV. Even on shows as warm and familiar as The Repair Shop, people quickly notice if a well-liked character is missing or if the normally happy mood changes. Fans also began to sense that something was changing in a quiet way with Jay Blades, even before an official statement was made. The first hint wasn't very clear. Jay, who had been a regular for 7 years, stopped showing up in new shows all of a sudden. Not only did they miss a few shows, but they were really absent. There had been a long gap. Fans didn't miss the fact that this kind of disappearance from a famous show doesn't happen very often. At the same time, Jay's own social media accounts stopped posting. They used to be full of friendly updates and craft ideas. Then he said he was going to take a break from social media because his uncle had died, which was a personal family tragedy. People felt sorry for this answer, but also made me think someone or something was going on in Jay's personal life, but no one knew the whole story. There was more and more talk as the months went by. Older episodes of Jay's show were taken down from streaming services by the BBC, and the star didn't show up to any promotional events or planned trips. It was unusual for a star who was so important to the show to be pushed to the side in this way. People who work in the industry said there were big problems going on behind the scenes. Not an official comment was made, though. Behind the cameras, people who were involved with the production said things were tough.